If you're a photographer, you've probably had this experience. Someone asks you what you do for a living and you say, I'm a photographer. And you get this look. Maybe they say, oh, my sister's a photographer too, or my neighbor does that too. And just like that, you're instantly grouped with every person who owns a camera. But here's what I discovered. There's one psychological trigger and actually two phrases I use that completely change that dynamic. When you use them, the right people perk up and they want to know more. The wrong people self-select out and you stop competing with every photographer in town. If you're new here, my name is Sarah Petty and I've been using this trigger for 27 years and I've booked clients at random places by having a conversation, and sometimes literally they've never even seen my work. This trigger has also helped my students get thousands of dollars in bookings because it positions them differently in their clients' minds before they ever see a single image. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what this psychological trigger is, why it flips the client dynamic so powerfully, and two different ways you can start using it immediately, even if you're brand new. Let me start by telling you what this trigger is. It's radical honesty. It shows up by me saying, I'm a very different kind of photographer. So I say this quickly in a conversation when people ask what I do, and that word very makes them perk up. It's a pattern interrupt for their brain. So by saying this right up front, the right people perk up and chase me. I don't have to go convincing them that they should hire me. Because here's what's happening. Everyone assumes they know what a photographer does. They think, oh, you take pictures, you give me some digital files, maybe I get some prints, but usually not. Their brain has already put you in a box with every other photographer they've ever heard of or worked with. But when you say, I'm a very different kind of photographer, their brain has to stop and go, wait, what? How are you different? Now they're curious. Now they're listening. And this is where the magic happens. You get to explain what makes you different, which creates more value and makes you worth more. Now, let me break down exactly how to use this trigger in a real conversation. First, you get people to ask you what you do for a living by being genuinely interested in what they do for a living. Ask about their work, be curious, be engaged. Then they will naturally ask, so what do you do? Then comes the pattern interrupt. This is where you use the trigger. Well, I'm a very different kind of photographer. And watch their facial expression and their body language. You'll see them perk up and you'll know that you have their attention. I explain, listen, I create artwork for my clients' homes. I don't do printable digital files. That's not what I do. And I work with my clients. I hold their hand. I help them celebrate what the essence of their family really stands for. And then we work together to create amazing artwork that hangs in their home. And so by the end of the process, my clients tell me that it is the best experience they've ever had, and many times the best money they've ever invested in something that they love so much. So I'm describing the products that clients come to me for, but most importantly, I talk about how it makes them feel. Now, I have a little bonus for you that I say that even reinforces my value more, and especially I use this one if people question anything about what I'm offering or what you're not giving digital files or, oh gosh, that seems expensive. I smile and I confidently say, yeah, I get it. And that's okay. But you know what? It's not for everyone. Okay. So the second part of this trigger, it's not for everyone, works when you don't do this. When you don't establish upfront that you're different and that you're not for everyone, people could get upset later that you don't do what they thought you did in your business because they made assumptions about your business, mainly cheap digital files. And heck, if you're already offering prints and you get into a situation that you're scared going into the presentation that someone's gonna be upset about your prices, realizing you maybe didn't cover that clearly, it's because you're missing this important psychological trigger. Let me give you an example of how this one shows up. When I explain to a prospect that I don't include digital files for printing, I do give them a social media version of anything they purchase, and that I'm likely more of an investment than other photographers because of all the things we do. Sometimes people can have a negative reaction, right? It can just happen. Well, you know what? It's great that there's a photographer for everyone. And what I do isn't for everyone, that's for sure. Sometimes I think people expect us to cave or freak out or go, oh, I know I should be giving digital files. But for me, it just makes me have more conviction in what I'm doing. I once had a car dealer come in and he asked me for a discount. And I wasn't surprised or offended because he sells cars and that's what every single customer comes in and does to him. But I never do that. So I smiled and I said, actually, I have never discounted and I never discount. The good news is that these prices are going up next week. So you got here just in time. Right? That's radical honesty. That's confidence. And that's what attracts premium clients and shows people you value yourself. If you don't value yourself, how will others value you? By the way, if you're finding this helpful, make sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter where I share bite-sized strategies just like this. I'll stick the link in the description below. Now, you might be wondering, is it salesy or manipulative when I say these things? The exact opposite. No. Listen, if you aren't strong enough to tell people why you're different or that you're not for everyone, that's when you feel salesy. You sound desperate. And even though most people don't understand marketing or positioning or business, they're consumers. But they do know that when a business tries to do too much and they're trying to be everything to everyone, it doesn't appeal to anyone. So that first very important positioning conversation can lock in really great clients and catapult your brand in the mind of one person at a time. And that's what you've got to do to build a really profitable business. So even if you're new, this is how you get into the conversation about why you're different, which is what ultimately creates more value and makes you worth more. Now, let me tell you the mistake photographers make when they're trying to get clients to chase them and it backfires. Most photographers are trying to give more and charge less. Yuck. Think about the girl in high school who is chasing all the boys. No way, it was not attractive. You show up as desperate, and when you're trying to be everything to everyone, you're offering discounts and mini sessions and digital files because you think that's what people want. You're repelling the premium clients. And the premium clients who are so great to work with, they want to work with someone who's confident, someone who knows their value, someone who's selective about what they offer and who they work with. That's the power of I'm a very different type of photographer and, oh, I get it. It's not for everyone. It signals I'm not desperate. I'm not for everyone. And it gets them curious to see if they're the right fit instead of you just talking about yourself. And if you are the right fit, you're going to love working with me. That's confidence. So how do you implement this? I'm going to break it down for you. Step one, you write out your exact, I'm a very different kind of photographer statement. What's that look like for you? Then step two, practice explaining what makes you different in 30 seconds or less. This isn't a dissertation, friends. Step three, practice the it's not for everyone line until it feels natural. Practice it on your kids. Step four, I want you to have 3 conversations this week using either or both of these phrases and watch the facial expressions and the body language when you use those phrases. Now listen, you will at least have their attention and you can explain what you do and see if they react in a positive way. And if so, those are your people. Step 5, track what happens. I want you to notice who leans in, who asks more questions, who self-selects out and says, oh, okay, and walks away. And then you can build upon that. I just want you to know that big doors can swing on little bitty hinges just like these. And if you want help building a complete system around this trigger, learning how to position yourself, how to explain what makes you different, and how to confidently price and sell, book a call with my team. My friend, it's your time. The link is in the description below.